Relative clauses. So first I thought we'd make sure we know what a relative clause is in English before we move to Hebrew. So let's take the expression or the sentence, happy is the person who studies Hebrew, right? Because it's true. So what is our relative clause there? It's the clause that begins with the relative pronoun who, and that clause refers back to the noun person. So happy is the person, that's our noun. Who is our relative pronoun, and then studies Hebrew. That's our relative clause is made up of who and studies Hebrew. So it's just going to be a clause that's modifying a noun. And in English, we have lots of relative pronouns, right? So in this case, we used who. We could also use whom or that or which, where, or when. So these are all relative pronouns in English. In Hebrew, happily, we have only one relative pronoun to remember, and that is asher. Asher is the relative pronoun in Hebrew. So it could be translated in any of the ways that we just listed those relative pronouns in English, and you'll know how to translate it by context. So let's look at an example. This is in Seo on page 106. All right, let's read this example. Ha'isha asher natata imadi. Okay, so let's break that down. Ha'isha, the woman. Asher, that's our relative pronoun, and we're talking about a person, so we might translate whom, the woman whom. Natata, that would be you set, from natan, the verb to set or to give or to put. Imadi, beside me. So ha'isha asher natata imadi, the woman whom you put beside me. Let's look at another example that illustrates one other thing that you want to know about relative clauses in Hebrew. And that is that sometimes they have what's called a resumptive element at the end. And it's easiest probably to say what that is by looking at an example. So let's read through this and we'll identify what that resumptive element is. Okay, let's read. Hamakom asher ata omed alav. All right, let's break this down. Ha-makom, that's the place, makom, meaning place or location. Then asher, that's our relative pronoun. Now, since we're talking about a place, we might translate it where, right? You see how we're doing this contextually. So we saw previously ha-isha, asher, the woman, pronoun, we thought, okay, the woman who or whom. Here we see the place, so relative pronoun, we're thinking where, right? So the place where ata, that's you, that's the independent pronoun, second person singular, where you are standing on it. So omed, if you notice there, what form is that? That's the verb amad, but it's in a participle form, right? You notice that from your holem vav there. That's your indicator, and then your sere. So omed, standing, literally, and then alav, on, that's the all, and then av is your suffix, your third masculine singular suffix. So that's literally on it. The av there is the it. So if we translate this literally, it would be the place where you are standing on it. But we don't do that in English, right? We don't need the it in English. So that's the resumptive element that is there in Hebrew a lot of the time, but that you just won't translate into English. So you might want to make sure you recognize it. You want to know what it is and what it's doing, but when you're writing out a smooth translation in English, you won't include it. So those are a couple examples of your relative pronoun.